Hello, hello. So here we are again to talk about how to have an extraordinary second half of life. And there's lots of stuff that happens when we turn 40 or 50 or 60. There's lots of opportunities. There's lots of curiosities. There's lots of reflecting on the past and what we might want to do in the future. But more importantly, how do we want to be today? And so today I have a very special guest that I met recently down in Baja when I was traveling. I have Jeff Hamoui in the audience, or not in the audience, in the house, on the stage with me. And I just wanted to say hi to you, Jeff. So good to have you here. I'm really good. I'm really good. And I'm so excited to have some time with you. Jeff is really up to some really cool stuff. I was in Mexico in January, and I was so blessed to be just a few houses away from what is called the Modern Elder Academy, this amazing retreat center, amazing facility right on the beach where they offer unbelievable opportunities to not only just to check out and check in and chill out at the beach and at their beautiful pool. They also have wonderful workshops and opportunities to grow and expand and just all the juicy things in midlife, because that's their specialty. And so I met Jeff and I said, hey, how about coming on the podcast? Because you're up to great stuff, making an impact all around the world when it comes to people in midlife. Jeff, you want to just kind of take it away with how you ended up in Baja, in MEA, creating it? Because you've had quite a life that was very different than this that you're doing right now.
Good memory, Junie. This idea that we can kind of reimagine ourselves and recreate ourselves in our second adulthood, as I like to call it. This idea that we're living longer, and that gives us this chance to do more than anyone in previous generations, and really reframing our thinking about aging is kind of the key theme that I hear in your podcast, and also a key theme in our work at MEA. I was a sustainability guy. I was a kind of innovation consultant. I lived in the Bay Area with my wife, Rachel, and we had found that edge. I was in my mid to late 40s, working all the time, 2 young children. There was just a lot going on in our life. And I was traveling internationally a lot, and my wife was at home a lot and working as well with 2 young kids and all that entails. And we came to this moment where we were basically faced with like choices of mental health choices.
Yeah.
The course and take the medicine, take the meds, or leave and change your life and feel better, get better. So we opted to come down to Baja. And honestly, it was very much for me a sort of a journey of like, what comes next? How do you release what was and enter into what is? Came down to Baja to build a surf house and to live by the beach. And what I found was a retreat center run by 2 people, at the time, a guy called Chip Conley and a lady called Christine Sperber. And it was in no way of interest to me. The sort of the wellness world, that whole sort of self-awareness, self-care, wellness kind of universe, this sort of $3.8 trillion business.
Yeah.
Global business had not really been part of my life. I was invited to do the first week at MEA, and then I never left. I became a founding partner, so one of the 3 founding partners, and got swept up into this really fascinating journey of how do we rethink the second stage of our lives? What is it that we need to be doing, and how do we reframe our mindsets around aging and so on and so forth? And it kind of moved from being an interest to being a passion to now I've been doing it for 8 years and teaching with hundreds of teachers and all those types of things. So that's kind of how I arrived there, by mistake.
I love it. I love it. And I love the wording you're using about the rethinking or reimagining, and that you had this moment with your partner kind of going, what's next? The meds or something different, rethinking the next chapter of your life. And I know so many people that are watching and listening right now are like, yes, I want to do things differently, but sometimes don't really know what is that next step. And what I love what you shared about you moved to Baja, this kind of showed up in your life and it was a whole other universe that you were unfamiliar with. And I hear that you leaned in and it changed your life. And wow. I mean, and that's what I always encourage people to do, is to just be curious and to be open about what else might there be. Because I know at 47, when I was really in a dysfunctional marriage and looking at the future of my life going, is this really what I want to keep doing? And is this the kind of life I want? And yet I had a young kid. I didn't have a job at the time and it was really scary. And yet I knew I wanted something different for myself. That's like that moment of, do I stay where I'm at and accept, or do I reimagine what is possible? So I really just want to acknowledge you for obviously not only the transition to Baja with your family, to be open to a whole new world. And now you're affecting so many people internationally. Tell us more about your MEA and how it is, because it's huge and it's impacting so many people all over the place.
Can I rewind to the number 47?
Sure, absolutely.
So I left the Bay Area, San Francisco, at 47 years old,
Mm.
and later found out that there's this thing called the U-curve of happiness. And the bottom
U-curve of happiness. Okay.
Yeah, it's a piece of social science research that kind of has stood the test of time until just recently. It's a sort of a longitudinal study about general happiness, human happiness.
Mm.
It doesn't matter if you're in America or Asia or Latin America. What they found is as people were younger, they were pretty happy, then it dipped down and then it comes back up again. And the low point in the States was 47.7 years old.
Wow. Got goosebumps on that one.
I know you and I hit the bottom of the U curve at the right moment. Results vary, right? Sometimes people are a few years earlier.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting truth that as we kind of come into this phase of life, we're challenged by the fact that we're running businesses, families, caring for parents. There's a million pressures on people. And that is the moment often when we feel most distanced from ourselves and our values, who we are and what we care about.
Yeah.
So let's get into this idea. I think MEA was initially founded really as a reflection on aging at work. Chip, my business partner, had been working at Airbnb and had found himself as the oldest person in the room, the modern elder, right? So
yeah.
The thought for him was less about elderly or elderhood and more about this sort of relativity of age. As we get into our 40s and 50s, especially in areas like tech, which are sort of obsessed with youth, what does it mean to be the elder? What does it mean to have wisdom? And so I think at its heart, the Academy was trying to say, could we become a midlife wisdom school? Could we go from this sort of obsession with knowledge and information and move to this idea of what is it that we've learned? Wisdom, the definition of wisdom, which I've sort of finally arrived at for myself, is sort of metabolized experience.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Experience that you have spent time with, experience that you have sort of processed. And so you've turned experience or knowledge and information into something that actually serves you and the people around you better. And with that metabolization, or with that thought, is really a core thought, a founding thought for the Academy, which is wisdom is shared, it's not taught. The way my experience metabolizes is going to be different from the way anyone in your audience or you have metabolized your experience, right?
Right.
Our experiences are radically different. Our wisdoms are radically different. They might smell similar, but they're sort of different. And so I think as a sort of a founding philosophy, not a kind of a top-down guru type organization, even though I joke with my friends, my kids laugh at me and they say, oh, my dad's a guru. What we're really doing is opening up space for people to come and metabolize themselves, think about themselves, and find their own wisdom, right? So you're not coming to MEA to be taught wisdom. You're coming to MEA to kind of spend time with your own experience and create wisdom.
I love that. It's like tapping into what's already there, but we may not necessarily know it. And I love the word metabolize. I don't know if it's Dr. Joe Dispenza's definition or I picked it up along the way, but the past without emotion is wisdom. And I think about that often, how we as human beings tend to get plugged into or take on these beliefs or these experiences, and they shape us, and then we take on these beliefs, and that impacts how we are today until we realize that the past is in the past, and we can, as you say, metabolize, kind of mine the gold that's there versus be impacted adversely or be at the mercy of the old reactions and the experience that might have been painful or challenging in the past. And that if we can truly mine that gold, what is here? And it's all here. As a shadow worker, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I'm a trained shadow worker. That's what I always say I'm supporting people in doing, is cleaning off the crap that they picked up along the way to tap in to what's already there. So I love that definition and how you're giving people the opportunity to actually be with what is without having to take in more information well, and I'm sure you're giving lots of information in a lot of the wonderful workshops you offer, and yet inviting them into what's really going on. You want to pick up on that?
Yeah. First of all, I'd not heard that definition of wisdom. I wrote it down.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm pretty sure it's Dr. Joe, but I might be wrong.
Oh, that's a great. It's a great kind of leafing in to the definition for me.
Yeah, cool.
I often think of the work as archaeological. I often think of it as a dig it's a mixture between dig and build, right? You have to dig before you can build. You have to lay down foundations, and then you can start to think about what's next. Our workshops kind of pin around 3 themes, and I'm developing a 4th theme, which I'm very excited about, Julie.
Yay.
We talk a lot about sort of transitions. We have transitions themed or kind of focused workshops, either our own workshops, which I particularly love, our own core content and workshops that we've practiced now for 8 years, done hundreds of these things. And they are just like this incredible experiment for me in terms of learning and trialing and evolving content and ideas. So transitions, we go through dozens of transitions in our adult lives, about 36 transitions in our adult lives, with up to 3 life quakes. A divorce might be a life quake, or a death in the family might be a life quake, or the loss of a business, a career, your finances. So understanding how transitions work, kind of giving people context both on the mechanics of a transition, I call it the anatomy of a transition, but also some of the skills and processes in transition. People will come to us to sort of think about their own transitions in that context. Purpose is in and of itself a larger transition, right? It's what you were saying at that sort of U-curve point, the 47 years old. It's like, who do I want to be now?
Yeah.
As we're living longer, sometimes the decisions, choices we made with the information that was provided by our family, by our context, cultural, society, social, means that we make a set of choices that don't necessarily suit who we know ourselves to be at this point in our lives. And so, we will do purpose workshops where people really dig in to the past and then think about the future of their purposes. And it is this beautiful mixture of kind of art, science, and magic. And so those are the sort of the 2 baseline workshops. We run a workshop on wisdom, so really helping people dig into their own wisdom and the wisdom of aging. And then lastly, and I think interestingly, perhaps for what you're thinking about, is I'm working on a workshop on friendship. And really this sort of stunning idea, after 8 years in this field, this stunning idea that if we want to live longer, healthier, happier, wealthier, if we want to be more resilient, kind of mentally and emotionally, and in every way, the life practice, and it is a practice, is friendship. The research shows everything I've looked at has sort of kind of brought this point crashing home. And the more I look, the more I research, the more I look at it, it's like, wow, friendships are it. And I think sometimes, especially as we get older, we're obsessed with that binary. It's like, it's me and my partner. Who's my partner? Especially if you don't have a partner, right? And actually, even in the search for partnership is radically shifted by having a resilience group, by having a group of friends that you go on that journey with. And that need is also lessened. We get a lot from our friends that's, I think, traditionally we think of as only coming from that special other person. So I've been thinking a lot about that, writing about it. I'm hopefully going to be having a book come out on the
I
subject.
love that. I think
Yeah.
it's so important. I actually am doing a master class tonight and it's called Magnetic Dating, but it
Oh,
has nothing to do with dating. It has to do with the very essence of how we're being with ourselves and all the people in our life, and that we can have an extraordinary life, whether we have a partner or not. And the searching for the partner, we can get tripped up sometimes around that because it's like, oh, there's a lack or there's something missing. And when we can have that deep connection with ourselves first, and then the community surrounding, whether it's just a few people or that group, that whatever it is, that then there's that richness, there's that overflowing of abundance. And typically that is when a person will show up in your life and match you because you are in your radiance, you're in your fullness. And I think people do miss that often. This, I'm missing something, I have a lack, and not realizing the wealth of what they have with their friends and how they can have that support. Or even tonight, one of the things I'm going to share is if you're going on a date, have your friend or somebody there for you after the date so you can get that connection again and remember who you are and remember your life is beautiful and all the gifts that you have, because a lot of times people can forget that and they are working from this place of lack when there's so much in community that can, and that's what you guys I see building there is a lovely community, what people are coming and going, and there's such a wealth of community there just in Baja in general.
yeah. Honestly, I think sort of I thought about community and I thought about friendship, but what we expected was these themes to be important, whether it was transitions or purpose or whatever. We expected people to be in transition or to be seeking something else in their midlife. I think the reason friendship kind of has become such an important thing is that week after week, what we saw was that what was powerfully transformative was actually the friendships that people had, the human connections that they made
Yes,
with each other.
yes.
I think of MEA as a friendship accelerator. One of the nice things about our groups is they're fairly evenly balanced. We'll often have sort of men and women in a sort of similar ratio. It's about 6-4, but it's a lot better than some of the groups where it's just, all women doing them.
Yeah, that's very common, and that's how wonderful and refreshing that's happening for you.
Yeah, and I think in part, people bringing their husbands or husbands bringing their wives even and partners. I think we've tried to make it as approachable as possible for both genders, any gender. I don't want to be binary about it, but any gender,
Yeah, yeah.
and enjoy it. And really, again, what is astonishing is what is meaningful, what lasts, and what transforms is the friendships that people make. If you
I
make
love that.
one new friend in that week, it'll change the course of your life. And it really has. We have reunions. We have the most incredible alumni network, chapters all over the world. Hundreds and hundreds of activities every year all over the world. And so there's this creeping sense that it's more of a movement than it is just an event. And to kind of color in the edges of MEA, so we have our campus in Baja. We have 2 campuses in Santa Fe in New Mexico that are on an incredible horse ranch. And so we have this sort of beautiful juxtaposition of ocean and that liminal, that betwixt and between space that you have in Baja, and then being on a ranch and it's quiet and massive and you're with horses and it's an extraordinary place. We have some beautiful
Ah,
cow horses, cow people. Can you be a cowboy,
cow
cow
people.
people? I have no idea. Cowboys, cowgirls, I guess they would be. I don't know what they are. Using everything from sort of equine therapy and working with the
Beautiful.
land and sort of being in that space as well. So yeah, it's been surprising there. And then a variety of online courses, and we sort of try and match in real life with online, especially now when people are less able to travel or willing to travel or
Yeah.
whatever. And that's kind of been magical for me too. Again, as a skeptic, I never liked online. I never liked online courses of any sort. And we have this wonderful lady, Carrie Cardinale, who runs all of our online programming and content now these days as well. And she just is able to get these courses to
I love
feel
it.
good, feel,
Yeah.
So I think we've cracked a code.
I think you did. You have too on so many different levels. I'll just jump on the whole online thing. It's a big world and it's a small world, and not everybody can travel. And technology has given us the opportunity to connect in different ways.
Yeah.
So why not? Why not offer something? And I love that you're doing that. And then you use the word movement, and I completely agree with you. There's such a huge population of people, more and more over 50, baby boomers, and just we're what's the word? I was going to say we're lasting longer. We're living longer, we're lasting longer. And we want quality lives. We don't want to just live, longer. We want to have a wonderful life, and being able to offer a place for people to drop in and to really see what's possible for them in this stage of life. It's beautiful. I am curious. Oh, go ahead. I have a question, but go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting.
No, please.
It is interesting as well to be in a cohort of people who are not necessarily... So a lot of our life transitions happen in a very lonely way as we get older. So when you're a kid, you all leave high school together maybe, or you all find a job together, or you're all dating for the first times together. There's a million things that are going on that happen in pod, right?
Yeah.
As you get older, your kids might leave at different times. You might get a divorce at a different time. You might leave your job, or might be asked to leave your job at a different time. Isolation, those incidences are isolating. They kind of leave us feeling on our own. And there's all kinds of emotions that come up in a transition, right? Fear, shame, grief, loss.
Yeah.
Standard emotions that we have in a transition. And if you're feeling that, and you're feeling that by yourself, God, it's nice to be in a group of other people, number one, who are feeling the same things and going through similar things, and number two, who don't necessarily have you in a box. And what I mean by that is, I think a lot of our old relationships, friendships, family, colleagues want to keep us in the shape that we are.
Yeah.
They chose us in that shape, right? And so then moving to a new shape, changing, transforming.
People don't like change. Humans don't like change. Change is the unknown. It's scary.
That's right.
Until we can dance with change more easily. If
you're with 25 people who are like, oh, dude, that's cool. I can totally see you doing that. It charges the possible.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to look at who we surround ourselves with. I mean, that was something I learned years ago. And I realized who was around me. I still do this. I look around and go, who's really in my ear? Who are the people I'm spending time with? Who am I attracting? Because that usually tells me how I'm doing as well. And I look at some of the people in the past and the different stages of my life, who was surrounding me and the impact it had. And again, the opportunity to come to a place like yours and to have these alumni opportunities to keep it going, so we're not so alone, because change is inevitable. And we are dealing with many different things like loss and parents and things like that, illness, and to be able to have a safe, loving place where people can at least understand and lift you up and hold that place so that we don't feel so alone. And I think that's the challenge in our culture, is a lot of the emotions are judged. There's a lot of opinions about sharing honestly around what we're, don't cry. I have a friend, don't cry, don't cry. She's not my inner circle. I don't want anyone to tell me, don't cry. It's like, whoa, this is what's happening for me. And so to be able to have those people in our life to support all the different pieces. And again, not everyone's going to be the perfect for each transition, but to find that nice orbit, like who's the planet for this and who's the planet for that.
That's beautiful. I love the way you frame that. It's, we lose half of our intimate friendships every 7 years on average. And sometimes it's just cadence, right? People move away or whatever, but sometimes it's, as you're saying, there's a need to edit in and out and surround ourselves.
Yeah.
And as we get older, we tend to spend less and less time trying to make new friends. It takes about 200 hours to make a new intimate friendship, which is incidentally about how much time you can spend in a week at MEA if you go hard.
Dive on in.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, that's kind of what we found, is that people use it as a way to refresh their friendship group.
I like that.
Otherwise, we push towards loneliness. Do the math. If it takes 200 hours to make a new friend and we lose half of our friends, typically Americans spend around 240 hours a week. I feel like Al Gore in his first election, just all the stats and all the figures. Basically, the mathematics works out that there's just not enough time. And we tend and trend towards loneliness as we get older. And so putting yourself, whether it's at MEA or in any place, putting yourself in a place where you can find new people, connect to new people is really vital and critical.
Yeah, absolutely. I live in a wonderful town and between COVID and relationships and how long I've been here, which hasn't been that long, I really hadn't met a lot of people. And then it was a couple of years ago and I said, okay, it was time for the 7-year clean out and inviting some new people in. And there was this group. It was just a Facebook group of women over 50. And I'm like, who knows? Why not? And I've met the most amazing people. And maybe they're not going to be in my inner circle. And yet there are some people that I'll meet. I'm like, oh my God, we have this in common. And to stay open and to look what is here, because tapping into resources that are just outside the door sometimes, it's right there. We need each other. This culture of we can do it on our own. Yes, and that and is really important.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm curious with your history of before MEA, going to Baja, and then this shift into all that you're doing there, which is massive, how not only the founder, but curriculum and books and everything like that. I'm just wondering, what would you say has been the biggest shift or support or magic for you with this whole journey of MEA for you?
Such an interesting question, Junie. What has been the biggest shift or support or magic? Because shifts and support and magic are three very different things.
Yeah.
Shifts, I certainly sort of realized that, it's such a dumb thing, but here we go. If you don't know how you feel, you cannot feel any better.
Oh, yeah.
So self-awareness, doing this type of work, I think I had a personal resistance to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I'd ever realize that until I can start doing that work. And I don't want to sound cliched, but I was not able to help myself and make myself feel better because I didn't know what was making me feel bad in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is a reason I've sat through 200 self-help, self-awareness, self-improvement workshops, probably like at a universal level. It was like a hammer saying, dude, you need this. And so that's been pretty wonderful. Magic, I think really some of my partners at MEA, both of my partners at MEA have been incredible magicians in my life. I work with a lady called Christine Sperber, and she taught me everything around experiences and how we can use experience to transform people and their lives. I think a lot of what makes MEA feel special is down in the DNA level to people like Christine and has been built on by a whole wonderful team now in the following years. But I think at that seed level, it was Christine saying, this is important. And my partner Chip, who is sort of relentlessly curious. He's a relentlessly curious and inquisitive and exploratory man. And that's been inspiring for me. It's helped me sort of understand how I want to age, a decade older than me. And it's helped me understand, okay, I think curiosity and his curiosity is very much at the heart of his purpose and his drive. And I love that. I love that as part of the recipe, right? Yeah.
I love that. And in shadow work, we often say, if you spot it, you got it. If you see it in somebody else or you want more of that, it's in you. We just maybe didn't have that in us or tapped into it accessible. And so I'm hearing the curiosity. You're looking at him with the excitement, the curiosity, the wonder. And I just want to reflect that back to you. I mean, when I met you and you showed me around MEA, it was just so beautiful, your love for the place and all that you were holding, because you hold a lot, and yet you carved time to share this beautiful vision with me because I saw that purpose, that desire to share this beautiful vision. I see you having those pieces too, for sure. Certainly inspired me, and it certainly inspired me to get there as soon as possible again, because I love Baja. And what you have there is just spectacular, really spectacular.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. So anything else you want to share about what you have to offer, because I know you've said 2 different campuses and the internet. If somebody wanted to start somewhere with you and they're in a transition or wanting to really get connected to that wisdom, what might be the first step for them?
Zeba, go to the website, mmawisdom.com, check us out, see if there are courses that apply to you or things that are relevant for you. What I will say is times are strange and times are tough right now, and anyone who doesn't acknowledge that is strange and tough.
Yeah, yeah.
We provide a ton of scholarships, and we have done over the years over $3 million worth of scholarships.
That's beautiful.
There's a sort of a core generosity that we're lucky enough to have because of our founder, Chip. He wants to share this with other people as well. So the door is not closed if times are tough.
I love
Work
that.
out ways of engaging with us and talk to us. We can help. And we have had thousands of people come through who didn't have to pay top dollar to make it happen.
Beautiful. And I will say the facility, I didn't see the one in Santa Fe, right? That's where the ranch is. The one in Baja, I mean, aside from the fact that it really is on the beach, just every part of it was just soul calling, whether it was a nook and cranny to have your own space or be near the pool or the beautiful spaces to do the workshops. And oh my God, the food, you guys really nourish body, mind, and spirit there. So I can't wait to dive in for myself at some point. Beautiful work. We'll make sure we put the link in the show notes about your place so people can find it. Actually, I have one last question.
Hit me, Jimmy.
You said that there's a little bit more men there than typical, because a lot of times when it comes to the inner work, or there's more women, you go to a yoga class, there's more women. I'm wondering, how do we reach more men, or how do we invite more men into this inner journey of healing?
That is not a simple question. There is no short answer for this, Junia.
Yeah.
I think Genesis out of tech, with Chip coming out of tech, made it a lot more comfortable for people. They felt like it was like, all right, this is something that a tech man set up, and we can part of that. What was interesting was that they were coming for kind of initially coming for like business type, and were finding that it was more heart work and loving it. So it was
oh my gosh, makes
a
sense.
switch, right? It was
Yeah. Come on in, let's talk tech and let's open up your hearts.
That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. I think as we've progressed, our brand has sort of kept open to men. Having Chip and myself as kind of spokesman, our new CEO, Derek, is obviously a man as well. I think makes us more approachable. It's funny though, because even still, we have to be a little careful about the language that we use in terms of, if you sort of say, let's do a week on friendship, I think a lot of women would be like, oh yeah, that's fascinating. Whereas with guys, you might have to sort of frame it a little differently and say, high performance friendship for, top peak life or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. What's going to speak to them? Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's all in a meta context, which is men and their feelings have not been a thing that societally, socially, culturally for the last millennia or three or ever has been terribly useful.
Yeah.
And here's why. The whole sort of edifice of patriarchy is based on the idea that guys go out and kill things and protect, which means killing things. So you're either killing things for food or killing things for protection. And dudes who are all sort of caught up in how it feels, I don't like killing things, not helpful.
Yeah.
Right? So that even to this very day, turn on an action movie in Netflix, and by and large, it's either an unfeeling dude or an unfeeling woman going around killing people without any kind of emotional reaction to that. It's very much with us, this idea that, the stoic, strong, powerful man or masculine figure, whether a man or woman. And I think one of the things that we're seeing is a kind of an unpicking of that. And it's like, look, patriarchy is dying. I know it may not feel like it right now.
Certainly not at this moment.
I think you're seeing a sort of a radical reaction
I agree.
To the death throes of something that is well and truly done.
I agree.
And the option for men is finally to know how they feel.
Yeah.
and then make it feel better. You know, generations of abuse and violence and drugs and alcohol and whatever. And again, it's not something that's super comfortable to talk about, but it's true and we know the data. I think there's a chance to unwind that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that there's a magic code to getting men into this work. I think, you know, certainly for me, my weeks have been, I think a lot of men find it easier to come because I kind of, you know, I'm a surfer, I'm a rugby player, I'm kind of a dude, and I would talk all about my feelings and I cry and all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. You're opening the door to see that it's not so scary, that it's actually healthy. And hey, if he can do it, then, and giving them the invitation, I think that's wonderful. I love it.
We had a football player, American football player, who played for the Green Bay Packers. His name was Aaron Taylor, that came and taught. And he looks a lot at transitions from a professional athlete to the default world and the kind of catastrophic impacts of that on people's lives. He, I remember the very first circle he did, and that was very much a balanced group. You know, men had come to kind of meet this two-time, he'd won the thing, the American football thing 2 times.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now. Super Bowl. It's like, what is that thing? It happens once a year.
And
Wow.
in his first circle, he just broke down and started crying, and everyone, the whole room, started crying with him. And
Yeah.
there's as you say, there's a permission and a release that
Oh,
comes.
yes. Oh, yes. Whenever I've run a workshop, as soon as somebody starts to cry, I'm so happy, you know, because I'm like, oh, good. They're giving everybody permission. And of course, almost always they're like, I'm sorry. And of course, I'm like, this is welcome. This is human. Thank you. And it just opens the door for everybody to drop in and be more real with what is our humanity. But yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I think your work is great. I'm so grateful for this time. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to share this message and your beautiful place and all the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. All right, that's our episode for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're looking into MEA and grabbing a ticket. Maybe I'll see you in Baja. One more thing before you go. Have you taken my Discover Your Love Avatar quiz? It's a 2-minute quiz that can help you not only know your strengths, your superpower, because you have one, also identify some of your blind spots, some of the things that might be having you in your fear, having you behaving in ways that aren't in alignment with your highest self, the way you want to be when it comes to dating and relationships. And it'll also help you discover why maybe the stars haven't lined up for you yet. Bottom line is, you take this 2-minute quiz, you get a full report in your email with details on how to move forward in next level love, whether you want a partner or not. So you can go to midlifeloveoutloud.com/love quiz. The link is in the show notes as well. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the station, I'm going to encourage you to do that too, so you don't miss any episodes. And I hope you got a ton out of today's. See you next week. Mwah.